Welcome to the Austrian German tutorial. In this tutorial, I'd like to talk about a rather difficult topic. In this video, we learn how to tell the time in Austrian German. On the one hand, we are going to cover the time you come across at airports, train stations, or even on your smartphone, which is similar to standard German. On the other hand, we will focus on the method of telling the time, which is done during everyday conversations. And this is much more difficult and may change from state to state. Nevertheless, we will practice the topic with several examples. Of course, we start with the question, what's the time, in standard German and in Austrian German. So let's get started. The learning goal of this video is to learn how to tell the time in Austrian German. After the question, what's the time, we're gonna deal with the first method to tell the time, which you see on your smartphone or at airports and train stations. Moreover, we cover the more difficult method, which is used for everyday conversation. Finally, we will practice the topic with some examples. The most common question for asking what's the time in standard German is Wie spät ist es? Wie spät ist es? Or using Austrian dialect, Wie spät ist? Wie spät ist? Let's start with two important aspects. First, this one. Midnight is Mitternacht in standard German, and Mitternacht in many parts of Austria. Second, this one. Noon is Mittag in standard German. With Austrian dialect, it is often Mittag. Mittag. Now we continue with the time you find on your smartphone or at airports and train stations. By the way, this is a 24-hour watch. 1 o'clock is 1 Uhr. 2 o'clock, 2 Uhr. 10 o'clock, 10 Uhr. If you want to learn the numbers, please check out my playlist about numbers in Austrian German. Now let's make it a bit more complicated. 10:20 is 10:20 Uhr. 10:40, 10:40 Uhr. If you see that, how would you translate it? In German, we say 22 Uhr, meaning 10 p.m. 10 a.m. is 10 Uhr in German, as we just covered in our examples. And this one? 19 Uhr is 7 p.m. in English. 7 a.m. is 7 Uhr in German. Now let's turn to the method for telling the time in everyday conversation. Ready for some examples? 1 o'clock is 1 Uhr in standard German and 1 or 1 in Austrian German. 2 o'clock is 2 Uhr in standard and 2 or 2 in Austrian German. 3 o'clock is the same in standard German and in most Austrian dialects, namely 3. 4 o'clock is 4 Uhr in standard German and 4 in Austrian German. So we see we just add an E for telling the time. 4. This goes for all the numbers until 12. For example, 5, 6, 7. So you leave out the Uhr, but therefore just add an E in Austrian German. At the end of the video, we're gonna repeat all the numbers in more detail. With this knowledge, we can go on to more difficult tasks. 10 past 11 is 10 nach 11 in Standard German, and 10 noch 11 in many Austrian dialects. Half past 10 is halb 11 in Standard German, and halber 11 in Austrian German. This is tricky, because in English you say half past 10, in German you say, one-to-one translated, half 11. But you get used to it. The next example, 10 minutes to 12 is 10 vor 12 in Standard German. And with Austrian dialects it's 10 vor 12, 10 vor 12. Now we have to talk about the quarter, which is Viertel in German. This is really kinda complicated, but we'll manage it. A quarter past 10 is Viertel nach 10 in Standard German. The Austrian version is tricky and depends on where you live. I'll present the version which is used in Upper Austria. For a quarter past 10, we say Viertel über 10, Viertel über 10. Next example, a quarter to 11 is Viertel vor 11 in Standard German. And the complicated Austrian version is Dreiviertel 11, Dreiviertel 11, which can be translated as 3/4 of 11, Dreiviertel 11. So it's time to practice the things we've learned today and take a look at some further examples. Half past 2, halb 3, halber 3. 10 Minuten nach 4, 10 nach 4. Viertel nach 10, Viertel über 10, Viertel über 10. Viertel vor 6, Dreiviertel 6, Dreiviertel 6. 5 Minuten vor 12, 5 vor 12, 5 vor 12. Let's repeat the Standard German and the Austrian German versions. 1 Uhr, 1, 1, 2 Uhr, 2, 2, 3 Uhr is the same in Standard and in Austrian German, 4 Uhr, 4, 5 Uhr, 5, 6 Uhr, 6, 7 Uhr, 7, 8 Uhr, 8, 9 Uhr, 9, 10 Uhr, 10, 11 Uhr, 11, 12 Uhr, 12. I hope I could give you a little insight into the topic telling the time in Standard German and in Austrian German. If you're interested in the topic, please check out my playlist, How to Understand Austrian, where you find words and phrases that help you with Austrian German. Thanks a lot for watching the Austrian German tutorial. See you in the next video. Have a nice day. Auf Wiederschauen, Servus und Baba.